my fear of never ever having to find a meaningful connection. I can't believe I'm doing this video, but of course, I have chosen to do this video. And there are various reasons for doing this video, and I really want to talk about why am I doing this video. The very first reason is that, you know, when you talk something about your journey, about your spiritual journey, one thing is that it liberates you. Okay, it liberates you in some sense, when you just bring it to your, you know bring things to your mental level, to your logical level, it liberates you. The lesson is done. Okay. And second thing is, I feel that social media is very much, a place of giving information somehow, even about spirituality, like Kundli Jagrat Kar Lo. This is how you awaken the Kundli. And I am not completely discarding Kundali awakening. I'm not. It is a thing. But then there are people who are spiritually awakened, who have got their Kundali activated, and they don't even know about it. Trust me, they don't know about it, you know and it's not even necessary to always know about it. They are doing it in some other ways. They are reaching God in some other ways. It's not only one way you reach God, right? And it's not always necessary to know about Kundalini awakening, or there are a whole lot of people out there who are trying to give information, regarding spirituality, or even otherwise. Yeah, there's a whole lot of information people are trying to you know give. But what I am trying to do here, is that I am trying to talk about my life. I'm trying to talk about my connection with my own self, you know and that's how you will just know how to build a connection with your own self, because ultimately that's very important. It's not important that you follow me, you follow any guru, for a spiritual journey. It's so important that you know you learn to bring a connection with yourself. Like, through this video you will know that this is my connection with myself. Maybe you discover that maybe this is your fear as well, and trust me, I think this is everyone's fear. I am a psychic. I am a deep, psychic means it's not like what people think, but it's more like I know how people feel. Okay, I know it in more depth because I am more spiritually aware. I am more in connection with myself. I have walked my spiritual journey, and of course I had my spiritual awakening last year. So I know how people feel, and I think it's almost everyone's fear. The fear of not having to find a meaningful connection, the fear of not having to find love. you know so yeah, these are the reasons that I really want to do this video. It's so important that rather than giving you some information, it's so important that I talk about how I did it. This is spiritual work. This is, spirituality is as easy as, I mean, of course, it's not that. I just want to say it's not that complicated as sitting and, raising a kundalini and I don't know what. Okay. Sometimes it's as simple as watching a movie and there you get your answers. Sometimes it's as simple as just having a walk, and it's sometimes as simple as you in a bathroom and you just get an idea or you just get your answer. Sometimes spirituality is as simple as that. It doesn't have to be like you have to strictly sit for like 2 hours. And and I do meditate, and I've not meditated. I started to meditate after having my spiritual awakening, rather I should say, right? But my guru says that meditativeness is a quality that you can really maintain. I also believe the real meditation really starts when you get up from your meditation. When you really get up from that room, that's exactly when the real test of meditation starts, because now you will be really tested. you know and it doesn't mean that you never get angry. Meditation even doesn't mean that. Okay, we can do another video completely on that. But meditation doesn't mean that, okay, that you don't get angry. You're like, oh, you're like zen and you're like Buddha, and no, it's not like that. There are some really crazy ideas of spirituality out there. I have done it in my own ways, you know And I am not completely discarding any other way. But Buddha's story, he kept fast, he traveled from temples to temples, and everything. And when he was very close to enlightenment, what he did realize was, after having his enlightenment, he my guru told me this story. So after having enlightenment, he had his meal, full meal, okay. and he realized that it's there is no one rigid way of reaching God, so it's my own way. And I think it's what it is. It is inner work, it is spiritual work. So I don't know if my journey could help you in some ways. I think it's so important that people talk from hearts rather than people talking from brain and trying to show that they're authorities and stuff like that. So I don't know, I just want to do it. I don't know, I just always believe that my channel has to be that way. The same crackhead has to be that way. It's like it's cracked from here, but it's like open from heart space. Yeah, I really feel that people are thinking a lot and feeling less. you know yeah, they're trying to suppress what they're feeling by their thinking. you know let's come back. So my fear of never having to find love or a meaningful connection. So when I say that, I mean in friendship, even even romantically, platonically, in every which way. So I think everyone has that fear of never having to find love, or dying alone or something like that. But even as kids, I saw that. I saw that in people. Even as kids, especially as kids, people have that. I feel. I don't know what. Okay. So yeah. Um, yeah. So I have always been somebody who has been a little more spiritually mature, a little more, I've been somebody who has persisted in my individuality. Okay. People around me were always very much programmed according to the Maya, according to the matrix. They're very much programmed that this is the way you do things all the time. And there's never another way of doing things. Okay. Whereas yes, sometimes I have fallen into the trap. Okay. I have fallen into the traps of Matrix. But eventually I made out of it. Okay, now my understanding when I say that I am more spiritually mature and everything, I am not really trying to boast or trying to, say from a point of ego or something like that. I have really walked my journey. I have really gone through plethora of self-doubt only to discover myself. Who am I? Okay, I have started doing spirituality consciously like 7-8 years back. And even before that, yeah, as soon as I left my, after 12th standard, I was completely in a crisis, of like, what now? Because for me, doing is so important. For me to enjoy what I do is so, 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 so important. I cannot compromise. If I don't love something, it's what I'm doing, it's killing me inside. I am more sensitive person, so I know it kills everyone. I'm not some unique everything. It kills everyone. People doing what they don't like, it kills them. But they have closed on their sensitivity. They have closed their sensitivity towards their own self. They have closed the sensitivity towards others. So what do? They numb it, they distract it. So they might go to the movie, watch movie. They might watch movies on Fridays, which is fine. I also watch movies a lot, you know but it's or they would just eat. I had eating disorders. I used to feel a whole lot of things, and I just went into complete eating disorders at some point of time in my life. So yeah, I have also done all these things. But eventually, of course, as I walked my spiritual journey, this all died for me. All the distractions, and I'm still working on it. all the distractions and all the numbness has died. So I am more sensitive. I am more, and I'm more spiritually mature. I've always been more spiritually mature. But I had another image of myself in my own mind. You know, people told me certain things. People saw me as they were. Said they told me the same things, that you are like us. So of course I had to break through those illusions that I'm not you. Instead, you are like me, but you have forgotten how special and unique you are. And maybe they're never gonna get it. I hope they get it. I really pray from heart they get it, one day. But, because my guru never taught me the other way. My guru always taught me that, it's, um, uh, or rather, should I say, yeah, my guru has always taught me about inclusiveness, that, and today it was his quote as well, mind is only exclusive. You as a life will always be inclusive. Okay. So yeah, yeah. Sometimes I feel a bitterness, when people try to impose things on you, you know, some, yes, they are doing it subconsciously and unconsciously, but some part of them knows what they are doing. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I do create bitterness in me, but at the end of the day, I am no one to, decide, or no one to, you know, yeah, decide what happens for them. At the end of the day, it's always life, it's always universe that will decide. I always believe that. I've always seen that. On a serious note, I have always seen that it's always universe that decides. Yeah. And I don't even want to take the pain of deciding. you know Let the universe do the bad thing or the good thing, whatever. you know it's difficult, for us as a life to do something like that. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, I've always been little spiritually mature. I've always been little different since I was a child. You know, since I was a kid, I was always felt that. I know everybody feels that. I'm not some unique or vakra, but everybody feels that way. But I felt it 10x, maybe. Maybe I know I felt it 10x. I've always felt the feelings double, triple, 10x, 10 times more, because I'm an empath, I'm a sensitive person, I'm psychic, I'm a deep thinker. I really, all these words that I'm saying, I have really walked my spiritual journey. I've really had a lot of self doubts, until I discovered who I am. So I am not saying this, just like that in the air. I really have covered the spiritual journey. That's what I'm saying, okay? That's how I've known who I am. So, yeah, I really, really had to fight a lot harder, even mentally, emotionally, physically, even, I mean, your spiritual journey really takes a toll on your physical body as well. It does, okay? It does. It's, it's, I don't know, you might be even scared if I tell you, but I don't want to scare you. Yeah, so I won't. But it does take a toll. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, I've always been very different. So somewhere I knew that, and I always had people who wouldn't somehow always ended up being with people who never understood me, because people usually see what they want to see. People usually see, as they are. Okay. So, but I was a deep one. I would see a whole lot. And when I see to a point where I cannot really put something as wrong and right, but I think a whole lot of, you know, people took a whole lot of liberty from that, from where, you know, sometimes it's so important to point out, you know, the wrongs, you know, in some sense. I don't know if you're trying to get what I'm trying to say, but yeah, yeah. So I always had people around me who never understood me, who never saw me for who I am. I was very underestimated. I was, yeah, I was judged and opinionated and given opinions of, because I was highly individualized. I was very much, I very much had an. Hey, have a look at this. I know in the midst of the video, I don't know, I just got up from my video, and because of so and so reason, I don't know, I just sat at my table and I just so much wanted to show you this Kufu panda. You know, my life has been a little bit like him. When I saw him, I saw his movie and everything. I was like, wow, he's so much like me. How he was underestimated. He had a lot of weight, you know, and nobody thought that he could become a superhero. Like, no superhero is ever fat. He actually broke the stereotype for a whole lot of people out there. I don't know. I went out on this Sunday after a long time and I got this. And I also got Bhagavad Gita. I actually got Bhagavad Gita. So somebody in a ISKCON volunteer basically stopped me and stopped me, and he just so much wanted. He asked if you want to have this or not. I don't know. I do have a Bhagavad Gita, but I don't know. Somehow I just wanted to have it again. Somehow I don't know. I just felt like, because I am going through a certain point of time in my life where God is reminding me again to read Bhagavad Gita. God is reminding me again to surrender things to Him, and this usually happens with me a lot. Care, I was a Kufu Panda, so yeah, Kufu Panda, exactly. He had the same life as me. Po was his character, right? He was named as Po. So yeah, he was a lot underestimated by his own friends, by his even master. Thank God. I only had Shiva, who believed in me. I had really no one who believed in me, but thank God I even had Shiva. But yeah, like, uh, Poe was basically encouraged by that wise character, that turtle character. I'm forgetting his name. At least he was, encouraged by him. He recognized Poe, as a character, you know, and but he was so underestimated because he was fat, he had a lot of weight. Nobody thought that he would ever be able to balance. But look at his balance. Though he was really not able to balance on my desk, I really had to put a double tape on a side note. But yeah, look at his balance. Nobody ever thought he'll ever be able to do Kufu Panda ever, but he did. So my life story has always been around him. Just so different. He was so different. He had such big dreams, and everybody thought him stupid for having such big dreams. Everybody thought he was stupid. He never had a body like that, for becoming a superhero, for doing Kung Fu Panda. And with all that weight, he did what he did. And it was so beautiful. All his movies were so beautiful. Okay, now let's come back to me. Okay, now let's come back to me. He's just sitting, Kofu Man is just sitting just next to me. I don't know his smirk. Did you see the smirk on his face? You know, like how he's. I don't know. I just love his confidence. Like how he got his confidence later on. He really found out who he was. I have a similar story like him, so I really like his movie. I really like I really loved all the three parts. You know, how he in the midst of things he say maybe I just go back. Maybe I should just go back to making noodles. I have felt like that whole my life. Maybe I should just always make noodles, but I'm not made for noodles. You know, I was a teacher for 5 years. All my school life, I've thought I will be this, I will be this, I will this. For me, doing is very important, right? So I have really changed my profession as a kid. I'll be this one day, I'll be that one day, and eventually I turned out to be a healer. Yeah, I'm so much of a healer, because I'm an empath, and I I try to, I try to do this. I try to start being a healer before in 2020 as well. In 2020, I did want it to be that, and I did want it to be, I knew I could give people spiritual, you know, I could give people that spiritual guidance. I could give people that spiritual, I should not say guidance, I should say redirections. People are just so misdirected. So I knew I tried to do that even in 2020,. But I lacked confidence. I just went back to making noodles. Yeah, I lacked confidence. Yeah, so it took me a whole lot of journey to, okay, whatever. I've completely lost the topic. I'm not, I remember. So, yeah, let's just come back to why I had a fear of, that I will never find love, or I will never find a meaningful connections in my friendships, or, romantically. Even, I'll never be able, and this for me is very important. Of course, relationships are very important. Relationship as in a whole, like relationships as in a whole, as in friendships, as in family, as well as in, these are very important things in my life. For a feminine, it is definitely because she is a connector. She likes to connect. She likes to connect with life. I like to connect with plants, even. I like to connect with trees, especially the old ones. Somehow I can just always look at trees and I know which one is old, which one is, you know, centuries old. I can just feel it, sometimes. I like to connect with birds. I like to connect with animals. I really do look in the eyes of the animals. It's, yeah. Sometimes they carry messages. Sometimes they do carry messages. They do. I have little funny incidents around that too. Universe has a very different way of talking to you. So yeah, I'm a connector. I connect with people. I don't see people as people. I see them as life. When I try to connect with them. But yeah, so I I was always that, I always try to be extrovert. I always try to build connections, and at a very at a very, you know, at the level of the heart rather than the level of the brain, how people think from brain. But I try to do things from heart because my heart chakra was always very open and will always be very open, because that's how I found Shiva, in my life. That's how I found God in my life, because I was always open, to demons. I was always open to people. I was always, how Shiva is always open to all kinds of people, all kinds of ghosts, all kinds of demons. He never said no to anyone, and he lets things happen. I've talked a lot about Shiva in other videos. You can just, what he is really like. I know him. I've started to know him. So you can also watch those videos around Shiva. So yeah, I was always very different. I'm very much in, how they're always, there is a quote out there, around women that women are very, you cannot really understand women. There's always this thing around women, and you cannot, it is so true. You cannot really understand a woman, especially a woman who works through her intuition, who works through her whole body, she is, yeah, when, a woman was really, really connected to the moon, a woman was really, really spiritual, woman was really, because how Moses in Bible, he was directed by God. Even, we have a similar story in Hindu mythology, Lakshmi Narayan story we have, where Narayan, is a Hindu god, and and he asked a king, and I'm forgetting the name of the king. So please forgive me. I have a thing for forgetting names. So yeah, because the more and more I've walked my spiritual journey, the more and more, I'm getting very, you know, you get very concentrated. You get very, you become very much one, and you forget things that don't matter. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. So yeah, so in even in Hindu mythology, there's a story where there is a time for the ending of the earth. Okay, the earth is about to end now, and Narayanji asked the king, okay, to get all his people onto the boat. So basically it was, and Moses also in Bible, he had an intuition. I mean, he was told by God. So God of course doesn't appear and communicate, as it is shown in the stories, but sometimes it is your own intuition. And women have a way of connecting to God. Women have a way of connecting to the invisible realm. So I've also done a similar video like that. You know, I'm connected to a higher consciousness, and that's why I refer to God as He. So there is this video that's out there. If you want, I can link it in my description box. I've always been that intuitive woman. I've always been the woman who is very much connected to the moon, and very much connected to the moon and everything. So people wouldn't understand me, especially as I started to walk my spiritual journey. People wouldn't understand me, why she's doing what she's doing. People have really, really judged me. Some people have not misunderstood, some people have misunderstood me, yes, and some people have really, really judged me, my close people, and my close circle that I had always. And they saw me as they are, rather than yeah, people just don't want to see the light sometimes in other people. It just makes them look at their own face and they won't like it. I know it's a very hard truth bomb that I'm really putting down, but sometimes I say, sometimes I say truth. And of course, I get into trouble, with people around me for that, for saying truth, because not everybody likes it. Yeah. At times, I always try to, I have two sides. Either I'm going to put a truth in front of you, like a very, like, in the way it is, because I don't know how to put it the other way. And sometimes I want to be really nice to an extent where it shouldn't be that way. So, yeah, I had those imbalances, but now I'm really gaining the balance. So yeah, I have always been a woman who does things not because of reason, who does things because God told her, you know. And I don't know how many of you will be able to believe me, but trust me, feminine energies, are like that. There are certain feminine energies who go by their intuitions, who are very much powerful, and who can go by their intuitions, who can listen to your intuition. Intuition is something really crazy. And how can you listen to your intuition? You can only listen to your intuition if you've really, really purified yourself. When you've really taken out all your reasons, when you've really taken out all your reasons, then you can really listen to your intuition. So, accessing intuition is one thing, And then walking intuition, walking the path of what God has told you is a completely other thing. So when this king, was told by, you know, Narayan ji. Narayan was a Hindu god. He was told by him, Narayan ji to, to get onto a boat. Everyone thought he was stupid. Everyone thought, well, like, pagal ho gaya. कि हमारा राजा पागल हो गया, हमारा king has gone nuts. Why? Because it was a time of a flood, and he asked people to get onto a boat, and he asked the king that you go and get people onto boat, and tell them that God told you. Okay, so of course it didn't really have like God. I don't know. For some, it has people who we are now really having mass spiritual awakenings, and you will find. I think I have heard 2 or 3 people who really had an experience of something appearing, some form appearing in front of them, and those were really men. Okay, I mean, yeah, they were males, because males are not that very in tune with intuition. So for a woman, it's it's easy to listen to her intuition. It's easy to listen to, because she is very much connected to moon. So moon is like god of intuition. And sometimes it's very much in her feminine energies. A woman was, not every woman has an access. I mean, the more spiritual work you've done, the more you've found yourself, the more you've tried to discover, the more you've tried to know in the world, the more, a woman gets into her feminine energies. So yeah, everyone thought that this king is nuts. We are at the time of flood, and he thinks that we are fools, so we're gonna get on to boat with him. Then God at that point said that not everybody is going to listen to you. You know, whoever is going to listen to you, just take them and leave the rest. Because this is no time. We don't have time to really explain and make them understand. You know, so people who were little more intuitively aware were able to understand the king. That maybe yes, what he's saying, he's a nice person, or maybe they could just sense it in some ways. And others who were very much in their head, who had no connection with their heart, could not understand what the king was saying. So of course they died. And in the ending of the world, those souls, those, they had a death. Whereas some few people who were saved, by Narayan, and they had a journey on the board. They saw some difficulties, but Narayan just got them through, and then the new world came in again. I think similar story we have of Moses in Bible. So yeah, I've always, and of course, no, not everybody believed Moses. He also, you know, he's also set up a new land. So yeah, it's like that. So not everybody understood what I was doing. The more I walked already I've always felt as a kid that I am different. I'm not like others. I don't enjoy what others enjoy. I don't want to do what others want to do. And I'm, more of, like a childlike. And whereas people just always thinking, and they're just putting their minds into certain things. And I thought I was always different, and I really thought that I was a fool for being different, while I was growing up. And then, of course, just because I thought I was a fool, I thought I really need to walk my spiritual journey. Maybe I really need to make myself, wise and everything, because I really thought I was a fool because I was not like everybody else. But when I really had my spiritual awakening, what I learned was that people who called me fool, or who felt that I was a fool, or who felt that I was a clown, were actually clowns. And I was always beautiful and perfect, you know. Literally, that was my spiritual awakening. And maybe I'm not really trying to blame somebody, or something. Maybe I was also some negative character in somebody else's life. Maybe I never meant to, or maybe subconsciously, maybe I have done that, though I just hope I would have never done that you know but what I've seen now, as much as I have understood life, what I've really seen, is that there are certain souls, who are really so pure, who are really so, they're really God's child in some way. Even if they try to, even if they try to do bad, they could just never do bad. Because, they are less of their ego, they're less of their mind, they're less of their programming, they're more of their soul, and somehow their soul just always stops them. It always, its soul is always very spontaneous and very intuitive. Higher self, your soul inside you, it's deeper intelligence, very intuitive, right? So, it has really happened with me. Even, I have thought that, that I might fight right now, or I might speak. I've just really thought for 2 days that I will go and I will say this and I'll say that and I'll say that. And when I really appeared, my soul just never allowed me. My intuition just never allowed me, because I was more of my soul and less of my head. So, yeah, and this is new. And but allowed people have surrendered more to the devil. People have surrendered more to, their programming. And it's a cycle. I get it, it's a cycle and it's difficult to break. So eventually, when you walk your spiritual journey, you will feel that, oh, you were not this, oh, you were not this, oh, you were not this, oh, you were not this. Literally, your spiritual journey is going to make you feel that way. That it's not that you want to find something else about you. You mostly, it's going to be like, I was never that, I was never this, I was never that, I was never this. So yeah, I have been an intuitive person. And yeah, so there will always people around me who never understood my intuition, who never understood why I did what I did. Also, I was sometimes judged and given opinions of. And so yeah, but of course, I never had complete trust in my intuition at that point of time. I just did it like that. I was like, I'm already very bored. I'm already, I don't think so. I have something, I'm, that's, when you've really, really been in, you've really opened yourself to your own pain for, like, I am in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. When really a ray of hope appears, you really take that. You really take that. So I just made a risk and I'd followed my intuitions. I've gone through a whole lot of deaths, when I followed my intuitions. So not everybody understood me. And I always had this fear that nobody will ever understood me. But since I was always surrounded by those people, those kind of people, I don't know why. But I think I know why. Because this is God's strategy, you know. This is God's strategy. When you cannot, he keeps you alone. He really keeps you alone. Even in midst of people, you can be really alone in midst of people. You cannot feel understood even in midst of people. So he has a strategy of keeping you alone. Okay, he keeps you alone. And and he sees whether you want to walk that path or not. He wants you to connect to yourself. I used to find my mediums outside. And sometimes, yes, I have, it's sometimes, yes, at some point of time, yes, people have understood me as well. They have not completely understood me ever, but and I really have to do a lot of explaining. And if you see my video, I usually, when I really look at my videos, I always find that I give so many clarifications of, you know no, it's not my ego, no, it's not like this, because I've always been around such people. And I'm not, and I mean, I see, I'm still not trying to clarify and explain another thing about this, that I'm not trying to rant about my life, not trying to do this about my life. I'm just so much explaining. So yeah, it's Actually, people have trouble trusting people nowadays. Yes, they don't trust themselves, they don't trust others. So you really have to walk your own journey inside you, and only then you will know. Then only you will be able to trust people. This is true. Trust me, this is true. So yeah, I mean, so I always had this kind of thing, and I always thought I'll never have people around me who will ever understand me. So I kept living and kept trying to explain myself. I kept trying and trying and trying to do that because I always had this fear that maybe I'll never be understood. Maybe I'll never have those people, because you know how they say when you're more spiritually mature, you sit alone at the throne. You always sit alone at the throne. When you're more spiritually, you've done the spiritual work, you've done the inner work, you have retained your individuality, where everyone is trying to, where everyone is programmed to be in Maya, to be in Matrix. Whereas you don't have that programming. So, when you don't have that programming, people are really not going to, uh, yeah, you don't have that programming, so you're gonna sit alone at that throne. So I always thought that, maybe I'll just never have people around me who will ever understand me. So I was, I always try to explain, I always trying my best to, to keep a connection, to yeah, to keep my connections, to keep my close people, close. I always try to do that a lot because I thought, and even people have told me, you understand more now, so you do more. So yeah, I've really tried to do that. And some of them never even didn't like me for being different. They wanted me to be like them, to feel and behave like them, because that's how world works, you know. So sometimes I was imposed also in that sense. I was gaslighted in some sense, you know. Even as I said, even in my friendships, especially in my friendships. So yeah. So yeah, so I was not really ever understood, and I always and I did more. I kept explaining more. I did my best, because out of fear that I'll never end up with people who can never understand me, because I was always surrounded by those people. And this is called a lack mindset, you know. So if I would have really, really, I would have it's sometimes we just look to the future, you know, that we're just so afraid of the unknown. If I stopped explaining myself, if this connection die and everything, and I'll always end up alone. I'll never had people around me. I'll never have connections around me, because whatever. I had those thoughts in my mind. I should have just really gave up, you know, but I didn't, until I really got tired. And I was like, yeah, until my soul really had a lesson, that it's okay. You don't really have to always, look at the future, you don't always have to, yeah, just concentrate on now. If you don't feel, you're feeling tired, you're feeling drained, then you should let it go, you know, you should just let it go. You should not try to stick to it, and really, how they say, it's better to be alone rather to be in, with people or with connections that doesn't make sense. you know so yeah, I really had this hard lesson that it's better to be alone rather than to be with, you know yeah. So yeah, and when I really gave up on that, that eventually happened. It's not like I thought and it happened. My soul had a lesson. it just, you know, ये process बाद में करता है, okay? This process is, you are literally living your life from your soul, from your heart. This process the whole thing quite later. And it's been like quite some time, you know, when I've been a lot been into a hermit mode. I've been into a lot of, and that was also intuition, you know, telling me that I have to be, and people are not understanding. People around me not in the why she's trying to be alone. Oh, yeah. So still people around me are not understanding. In my family members, you know, they don't understand why am I doing certain things the way am I doing. So yes, जिन लोगों को भगवान चलाता है ना, उन लोगों को समझना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, बहुत मुश्किल होता है। क्योंकि भगवान जब प्रलय आ रही होती है तो भगवान राजा को ये बोलते हैं कि तू बोट लेके समंदर में ही चले जा। तो भगवान कभी कभी ऐसी गाइडेंस देता है और हर कोई नहीं समझ पाता. सो आई वेंट थ्रू दैट. So people don't understand, you know. I am commanded by God. I am guided by higher consciousness. I am guided by my higher self. I am in 5D. You know, I am moving towards 5D earth more and more and more and more, you know. And yeah, so I always had this fear of, you know, that I'll be alone. And I had that as a kid, and I had that fear even till adulthood, you know. And yeah, ultimately I had my lessons that people are at their level of consciousness, and they sometimes they are choosing to stay in that. You know, some part of them knows, but they're really trying to distract themselves also, everything. So yeah, I really had my lesson this. And when I had my, yes, so that was my video. uh what are your fears? What are your fears? You know, you can write down in the comment section. You will really feel liberated, trust me on that. Or you can just write, you don't have to write it on comments, you may write it on your diary. You know, you can keep a journal. I used to do a journal a lot while, you know, I was even when I really started my spiritual journey, I was really doing a lot of journaling. So you can maintain a journal. You can, if you have somebody you can really talk to. Yes, I am also available for one-on-one services. I am a spiritual teacher, I'm a spiritual master. Only if you feel the resonance, then you can join me, you know, for it. I really believe it is very important to have that resonance. There are a whole lot of 5D, you know, spiritual masters who are coming up, you know, and who will come up, who will rise up. I know this. I know what is happening right now. I just know it. And I know not everybody is going to understand understand me, and it's just okay. So yeah, I mean, I know the whole lot of, you know, masters want to come up, you know, because they have gone through what they have gone. So you have plethora of options. Maybe not that plethora of options, but yeah, you're gonna have some options definitely. So you can always choose, you know, uh, who with whom you feel resonance. Okay, you can choose with whom you feel the resonance. Who do you think can really help you, you know. And don't think it from here, think it from your heart, you know, just feel it from your heart. Your just heart knows, you know, it's more spontaneous, it's more intuitive. Okay, rather than trying to judge it from here. Iski knowledge zyada hai, iski knowledge come. Don't do that, don't do that. Just feel it where you're gonna feel comfortable, you know. And there are a whole lot of spiritual masters who want to come up. They are coming up. Some have all already been there. So yeah, we are entering into the new world. And yes, so yeah, I really wanted to talk about my fear, you know, and how I eventually had my lesson. You know, I really had to get tired, you know, I have to really allow myself to get tired, you know. you know how you do that, you go to a gym or you start doing exercises, you do it to a point till you get tired so that your body can really really rest. When you really had that exercise, good exercise, that's the day you have a really good sleep. So I really had to have a hard lesson, to really really get that lesson. It really had to tire myself. So that has been my journey with my fear. I can't believe I did what I did. But that's it. Okay. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for coming here. Thank you so much. Ajay so much wanted to come here and add a point, that, when we really are into spirituality and you're really walking a spiritual path, तो हम इतनी दूर तक देखते हैं, इतनी दूर तक देखो जहाँ पर तुम्हें सही और गलत दिखाई ना दे. ठीक है? When you walk a spiritual path, you really try to see to the point where you cannot differentiate things into good and bad, into right and wrong. It all disappears because now you've come into an understanding of things, right? So, so I so much wanted to come here and, you know, start this, add this here, that how all of these things that were happening, somehow every external reality is a manifestation of your own, for your own energy. So somewhere I was always in, a lack mindset that I will never find people that can understand me. So I always try to adjust, I always try to explain myself, I always, really try to tire myself with these people, you know. So yeah, it's I don't know, I don't want my viewers to see, that bad things happen from outside. Somewhere it's your own energy. So it was my own fear. My own fear. Fear comes from the mind. So my higher self, my soul, decided me to give me that lesson, that you have, usually this happens. आप देखना, आप कोई भी ओपिनियन और जजमेंट अपने दिमाग में रखोगे ना, तो आपकी एक्सटर्नल रियलिटी वैसे ही बनेगी. Okay? That's how universe creates things. Okay? So if you have any opinion and judgment, then your universe is your higher self is going to put you on a timeline or put you into that path where it that opinion and judgment breaks for you, where that fear breaks for you. So my higher self had to put me in with these people, till I became tired. So my higher self had to put me with these people till I became tired. you know so it's not about, at the end of the day, these people are working at their level of consciousness. I'm not really trying to say that they are bad, or they are, they are at their level of consciousness. They are unhappy, they are stuck in their own cycle. They are more unhappier than me, I know that, because they don't, it's okay, whatever. So they are more unhappier basically. you know and they are themselves stuck into the cycle. So usually universe will, make these people timelines meet. I had my fear, these people had their own opinions and judgments. So these people who have closed on their insensitivity or whatever you can say. So we just came together, and I saw my fear. I had to become tired of my own fear. These people, whatever they do is their karma. They learn from it's not like they are bad or I am good. It's I don't know, I really cannot think that way, and I don't want my audience to really think that way, because when you come on a spiritual path, you really look to a point where the good and bad dissolves, because that is the truth at the end of the day. And how we feel that, you know sometimes, people say that universe will do bad to the people who have done bad to me or something. No, universe doesn't. It's your own mind that thinks that way. When you really walk a spiritual path, when you really come to into your truth, you will find that universe doesn't think that way. It just gives you lessons. Okay, if you have done, something, you've hurt somebody,
or you have your opinion on your some rigid way of living, then universe will try and give you all the lesson. Sometimes the lesson comes through pain, sometimes the lesson also comes through happiness. So it will try to give you the lessons in whichever way it's possible. And universe doesn't think of, I know people think that karma is coming, so something bad will happen. It's not like that. Universe doesn't think like you. Universe doesn't think that, oh, he has done bad to this, so I will do bad to you. No. Universe thinks that you have done bad to this, you have forgotten who you are, you've forgotten your God's child, you've forgotten your own nature, so let me show it to you. So he will give you some kind of a pain or some kind of a lesson. Many a times people don't get that lesson, so they get into loop and loop and loop, and they get into more thinking that, oh, my life is bad, or oh, why universe does that to me. So come, arise, awaken, humanity. Come to a point where you really now start to see what how universe works, start to see how life works. So I so much wanted to come here and talk about how my own fear was letting me be around these people. One thing, can I completely call out that these people were not wrong? I cannot do that. I have to do that because I have to call out that they're wrong because for me, right? And the third point is, for the audience. I don't want my audience, I want my audience to, come to a point where they can, I want them to look to the depth, where the right and wrong doesn't exist. But sometimes you have to call out wrong, have to call wrong things wrong for your own boundary and protection, but that doesn't mean that you you don't see, and when you really look to the depth, you will see that how everything is not wrong and not right. Yeah, I hope you get the point. Now I'm done with the video, I guess. Thank you for watching the video.